Hey, how's it going, everybody? So we had our nerfs not too long ago. Therefore, the meta has actually been changing quite a bit. Some of the decks that you may see here may have been at a lower ranking or not even here completely. But just so you know, if you are looking to get some dust, you can go ahead and quickly disenchant some of the cards that have been nerfed. You can go ahead and type in Refund down here in the search bar, hit enter, and then it'll show you basically what you can disenchant to get the full price. So the good thing about this is that if, for example, you aren't using this card, which I think all the decks pretty much are, you're gonna get the full value of it at 1600. The good thing about this is that no matter what, if you want to make this card later on, you're gonna have those 1600 hopefully at the time to go ahead and create it again. So yeah, if you're not using the card, you might as well go ahead and disenchant and therefore be able to create maybe one of the cards that you may need for these decks here. Anyhow, today I'll be showing you 5 of the most top meta cards or meta decks that are currently being used right now. Keep in mind that this doesn't necessarily mean that it's not going to change either tomorrow or the next couple of days, but you can pretty much use these decks to go ahead and climb up the ranks pretty easily. So let's get started. Okay, so starting off, we have Fishing Priest. If you've used it before or played against it before, you're gonna see a lot of familiar cards here. Basically, what you're gonna want to do here is summon as many monsters as you can in order to do as much damage as possible and obviously knock out your opponent. This is basically a deck that's previously been meta, but there might be a few changes here and there. So these are the cards that we're currently using. Again, what you want to do is basically summon as much monsters as you can and do as much damage as you can as well. We do have that imbue for the hero power, which we do put into effect to get more additional cards and so forth. But yeah, like I mentioned, you just want to go ahead and do damage. Hopefully the sooner the better, before your opponent happens to build up their own deck and then knock you out. We have 2 jugs again because we just want to do as much damage as possible, and you're actually going to see this a lot in the other decks that we also have. So let's go on to the second one. Okay, so our second deck is actually Pirate Rogue. If you've been a subscriber or viewed channel videos that I've made before, you're gonna basically see a similar build as this one. I think there's maybe 2 cards that were changed, but it's basically pretty similar. Pirate Rogue, basically what you want to do is combo off and summon your pirates as quickly as possible. You have, for example, Toy Boat, which allows you to draw cards based on your pirates that are summoned, which works really well also with Water Canyon as you do summon a pirate. So if you use this and you have Toy Boat out there, then you are going to be able to draw a card. Similarly, if you have this Bargain Bin Buccaneer, you can summon 2, draw 2. If you happen to use Lucky Comet, then this would actually summon 3 of them, which is really good. Now, if you have the Bargain Bin Buccaneer as well, you can go ahead and save it and use Crystal Cove on it. So the next minion that you summon will be able to summon, for example, 3 of these, as long as you use Lucky Comet, and they're all going to have 5/5 stats. You can also use it, Crystal Cove, with Water Canyon to, instead of summon a 1/1, you get to summon a 5/5. So that's pretty good as well. We have very little cards to actually destroy minions on the board. For example, this one, but the good thing about this card is that you're able to draw cards as well. You have your usual Scoundrel, so you can pop off on a few plays here and there. Shaladra is still a good card to run. And then finally Firac, which is good either hopefully to take out your opponent or maybe wipe the board. So that's pretty much for it. Again, you basically want to aggro as quickly as possible and be able to beat your opponent, especially if they're the late type of deck games, right, that use Kill Jaden, for example. You want to knock them out as quickly as possible. Or if you're playing against Warlock and they happen to have the one card that kills you in 5 turns, the wheel, then yeah, you obviously don't want to go in that late. But yeah, again, another meta relevant deck. And our next deck here is Menagerie Death Knight. Interestingly enough, this kind of plays kind of like the first deck that we went over, which is Fishing Priest. Again, a lot of these decks are aggro, so you just want to summon your monsters and quickly do damage. You have Monsters Mosquito to keep boosting your monsters. If you can keep it protected, then obviously you're gonna get a good use out of it. But even at a one play or one turn play, you still get a good effect for it. Morbid Swarm, you could use actually both effects pretty well, but typically when I play this, I've used it to summon 2 ants and then get them boosted by the mosquito. Mermy, same thing, you can boost it. It's a quick 1 mana card, and then the good thing about this card is that you can play it with Horizon's Edge. So once this gets destroyed, you get another monster and you can use the Horizon's Edge. Same thing with Brittlebone Buccaneer. Obviously you want to use this when you can at least get 1 card to be reborn. So for example, if you have the Buccaneer and you summon Dreadhound Handler, you'll basically get 2 of these for 1 of these. Be careful playing this early, especially if you don't have a Death Rattle minion. Otherwise, more than likely your opponent is going to try to destroy it and it's going to be a waste for you to play it anyhow. Corpsicle, it's also good to do damage. Creature of Magnet, Madness, good 2 mana card, so good to play as well. Frost Strike, you kill a minion, discover a Frost card, which typically you use to deal even more damage or freeze your minions or your opponent's minions to draw a card. Same thing with this card here, Infested Breath, quick 2 damage, and then you gain 1 health at the end of the turn. You have 2 of these. Again, if you have Mosquito, then you're going to be able to boost their attack as well to 1, and then so forth. Observer of Mysteries is basically there to protect you, especially if for some reason your board gets wiped and you don't have much defenses. And you can go ahead and play this, and then hopefully it'll protect you, or at least it'll have your opponent think twice before they attack you, and so forth. Eliza, again, quickly able to go ahead and boost your monster's attack. So obviously you want to play her with the Brittlebone Buccaneer, so you can get 2 effects off of that. We have Goals Knight, basically to get rid of some monsters as well as be able to have a board. You obviously combo these 2 cards here, because once one gets destroyed, then you can use Horizon's Edge. If they all get destroyed at once, I believe you only get 1 turn to use this. So there's that. We have Foam Render, just because of the 5 damage. You should have enough corpses to keep this going. So yeah, a good 5 damage. And then last but not least, we have our Jug, which again will boost your cards to attack. That way you can go ahead and kill your opponent. Okay, so our next deck is Imbued Druid. You probably saw this build already, if not at least in a previous video. I don't think anything has really changed here. We'll go ahead and go over it. We're basically running our Ruin Totem, so that way whenever we use a spell, we can keep imbuing our deck. So yeah, you have your Mana Crystal, right, with Innervate. You go ahead and use Charred Chameleon. Typically, I'll use it to summon a Trent or one of those giant plants, right, with your hero power. And then that way you can get Rush, or you can also combine this with the Disciple. That way you get the effect of the Death Rattle, so that you can use your hero power. You have Living Roots, which you can just do 2 damage. Symbiosis, discover a card, imbue your power with this card, discover a nature spell. Everything's pretty straightforward. You want to use spells as fast as possible, that way you can boost your hero power and therefore have quite a strong board. Mark of the Wild, again, give them more attack, and then be able to defend yourself by having your opponent be forced to attack your giant trees. And then you also have Troll Mix, again, to keep comboing, using more cards and so forth. This card here is pretty good because you can either do the 3 damage to get rid of a card, or 1 damage and continue to draw cards. There's another combo card here, which you should be careful with, because sometimes you may summon this card and then it'll get killed before you get to use your hero power. If you don't happen to use it at the appropriate time, then it'll be a waste. Otherwise, you get 2 free hero powers when used correctly. Petal Picker is typically used on turn 3, I believe. Not only because it's 3 mana, but because by then you should have imbued twice. Use 2 spells to imbue your hero power twice, therefore draw 2 cards. Sing Along Buddy, typically you want to save this either for when you need a board you need to get rid of a monster, right? So you can use your hero power twice, or again, your hero power is already imbued quite heftily or quite well. That way you can make the most use out of it. Emergency is really good. If you have it ready for by turn 4, then you typically want to use it. That way you can get your 1 mana, draw a card, and everything else. But just be worried that if, for example, you have 4 mana, you get 1 mana back with this, but you don't have a card to play with it, then you essentially lose out on that 1 free mana. So just think of that. Fluttering Guardian, again, really good card. Not only do you imbue, but you get protection. And then, of course, I already spoke about this. This is basically your core card that you need to even play this deck. So for sure, you're going to be running this. Shaladrasil, again, great card. So you're going to see this in most decks. And then last but not least, you have Firek. Again, you're going to use it for board wipes, to boost your monsters, or to hopefully kill your opponent with the effect. And the 5th and last deck for this video is Big Demon Hunter. Again, this deck has been out and about for a while now, so you're going to notice that a lot of the cards ran here are actually the same cards I used to run. So let's go ahead and look into it. Okay, so we have our first card here. Basically, you're going to discover an outcast card, which mostly benefits you. The card that I've been actually seeking here is the one where you draw 2 cards. Yeah, essentially you draw 1, and then if it's an outcast card, when you use it, then you draw another card. Red card, you use it to defend yourself, right? So make a minion go dormant. That might be bothering you, or if it has taunt and you want to run it over, or if you want to go ahead and combine it with this card once this is no longer dormant, then you can go ahead and do that. Tusk Piercer, pretty simple, just to get your Death Rattle minions to your hand. Chaos Strike, again, boost your attack and also draw a card. Grim Harvest, kind of the same thing, you draw a card and then you summon a Dormant Dread Seed, which you have different effects, right? Which is you get your attack boost, you get a top minion, and then I believe you get a bird. And then you have this to get rid of your opponent's boards, especially if you're playing, for example, Death Knight, or I believe Priest, that summons those ghosts, which I can't recall what the name are. Those all have 1 health typically, so you can go ahead and get rid of those. Infiltrate, this is an interesting card because you can either use it to wipe your board or simultaneously also get your combos going. So you're gonna notice, for example, Ball Hog has 3 health. So if you were to choose a different card aside from Ball Hog, then that means you'll be able to trigger this effect since it's dice. So that's one way to use it, 1 or 2 ways. Return Policy is really good as well. You discover a Death Rattle card, you play this game, trigger its Death Rattle. You can use it with anything, but obviously we can save it for the later game, then that's good. So for example, if it's early game, you might use it with the Tusk Piercer, so you can draw a Death Rattle minion. You might use Ball Hog to get the damage, or you might use it with these other 2 cards that we'll talk about shortly. Dangerous Cliffside, you use it obviously to do damage. I know it is that I've used it to get rid of Divine Shield, get rid of strong monsters that have low health, right? And then so forth. Defiled Spear, if you can boost your attack, you can get a lot of combos with this. So you either attack a minion to destroy another minion, hopefully, or you even attack your enemy to do damage, and then that damage reflects onto a minion to get rid of it. So of course you're gonna be using this and then trying to boost your attack as well to do the most damage that you can. Okay, and you also have Fell Hunter, which you're typically gonna use for Ball Hog. That way you can go ahead and get its effect out. The good thing, again, it's 3 health, so it's easy to get run over, but you can also use Infiltrate to trigger this effect. So you're gonna notice that you typically want to use your Death Rattle effects as soon as you possibly can. That way you can continue with your plays. Climbing Hook is on the newer side. I haven't seen it be used earlier on, but now it is being used. Basically, as long as you have a minion with 5 or more attack, you can keep using this and not lose durability. So there you go. Cliff Dive, obviously you're going to use Cliff Dive to summon your monsters to trigger their effects, either by being destroyed or whatever other effects that may have. So for example, you have Cliff Dive and you summon Ball Hog, you attack a minion. Typically you're gonna want this to die, right? So you're gonna make sure that you run into something strong enough to kill this, or even Fell Hunter. You can also obviously use it for this card and then use it for Inquisitor to maybe kill a monster or do damage to your opponent. Of course, you're going to want to attack your opponent first. That way this triggers and attacks the opponent as well. And then for Magtheridon, I believe, from what I remember, it goes dormant when it's summoned, but it doesn't stay on the field. It returns back. So just keep that in mind. And then if we move forward, we have Fellbat. So this kind of is used to summon this, which therefore summons this. So yeah, this wasn't previously added here. You would see it added here and there, but now it's being ran at 1, which has done pretty well and is pretty consistent. So then we have our Inquisitor. Again, for damage, this is probably one of the best targets that you can get for Cliff Dive, especially if you were to get 2. Then you attack your opponent with your own hero power, then you would essentially get, you know, your attack plus 16 damage. So that's pretty good. Last but not least, we have Magtheridon to do 3 damage and not only hopefully wipe the board, but also be able to consistently do damage to your opponent. You can obviously save it and then wait for it to become undormant to do 12 damage, or you can go ahead and use a red card. Therefore you get the effect for another 3 turns as well. Okay, so that's pretty much it. You have 5 decks now to go ahead and try to get legends, or at least as far in ranking as you possibly can. I believe that if you've been playing for a while, you should be able to quite easily get all these cards. If you can't or you don't have them, again, try to use Refund in order to get as much dust as you can. Therefore you can create whatever cards you may need. And then obviously you want to go ahead and probably go for the one where you have the most cards already available to you, so you can play it and then collect dust and build other decks. But you also want to build a deck that you enjoy the most. So for out of these 5 decks that I brought you here, I believe I already made 2 previous videos with gameplay, so check those out if you want to see a little bit more of how they play. I'll also be uploading future videos where I play with some of these decks as well. I do enjoy theory crafting, therefore although let's say this is a deck that's being the most used, I'll go ahead and do my best to create another build that's as good, if not maybe better, a little bit more creative, just because that way I can get to enjoy it a little bit better, especially when you have a mirror match. It's pretty interesting to see how your opponent reacts and you use a card that they didn't think of or a card that they've never seen before or so forth. But yeah, if you want to learn more about the channel, check out the description box below so you can go ahead and see what I currently upload, my current upload schedule. I also live stream to Twitch and to YouTube. If you are subscribed or if you are following, that's typically the easiest way to be notified when I do go live. I currently upload on the weekends, but sometimes I'll upload on the weekdays, especially if there's any news or important updates. So yeah, keep that in mind. Also check out the previous video if you haven't, where I talk a little bit about the nerfs that we recently got. I do apologize, the audio wasn't that good as I wasn't home. I was actually on vacation, so I didn't have my whole setup. Hopefully this sounds a little bit better. But if you enjoyed the video, consider liking the video, consider subscribing, and I will see you out there.